Story time. Tonight we have a special tale to share, perfect for drifting off into a dreamy sleep. It's called Goodnight Farm. So snuggle up, close your eyes, and let's journey together through this enchanting night sky. Are you ready? Let's begin. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Old MacDonald stood on his porch and gazed out over his beloved farm. The day's work was done, and it was time for all the animals to settle down for the night. With a contented sigh, he adjusted his red cap and set off on his nightly rounds to wish every creature on the farm a peaceful slumber. First, he approached the big red barn, its weathered wood glowing warmly in the fading light. Inside, the cows were already settling down on their beds of fresh hay. Old MacDonald peeked in and whispered, "Good night, my gentle cows. Thank you for your milk today." The cows lifted their heads and gave a soft moo in response, their eyes heavy with sleep. Old MacDonald smiled as he watched them lay their heads back down, their bells tinkling softly as they moved. Next, he made his way to the chicken coop. The hens were all huddled together on their roosts, their feathers fluffed up against the cooling night air. "Good night, my hard-working hens," Old MacDonald said softly. "Sweet dreams, and thank you for the eggs." The hens clucked softly in response, and the rooster gave one last quiet crow before tucking his head under his wing. Old MacDonald chuckled at the sight and gently closed the coop door. As he walked across the farmyard, he heard a gentle bleating coming from the sheep pen. The woolly creatures were all snuggled together, their lambs nestled close to their mothers. Old MacDonald leaned on the fence and called out, "Good night, my fluffy friends. May your dreams be as soft as your wool." The sheep responded with a chorus of quiet baas, and the lambs wriggled closer to their mothers, seeking warmth and comfort. Old MacDonald's next stop was the pigsty. The pigs were already snoring softly, their round bellies rising and falling with each breath. He whispered, "Good night, my happy hogs. Rest well and grow strong." One pig opened an eye and gave a contented grunt before drifting back to sleep. Old MacDonald smiled and sprinkled some fresh straw over them for extra comfort. As he walked past the duck pond, he saw the ducks floating peacefully on the still water, their heads tucked under their wings. "Good night, my waterfowl friends," he called softly. "May your dreams be filled with calm waters and sunny days." The ducks quacked quietly in response, barely stirring from their slumber. In the horse stable, the proud animals were standing in their stalls, some already dozing on their feet. Old MacDonald entered quietly and patted each horse on the nose. "Good night, my noble steeds," he murmured. "Thank you for your hard work today." The horses nickered softly and nuzzled his hand, their eyes drooping with sleepiness. Old MacDonald made sure they each had enough water for the night before leaving the stable. As he walked back towards the farmhouse, he heard a faint meow coming from the hayloft. He looked up to see the farm cats peering down at him, their eyes glowing in the twilight. "Good night, my clever mousers," he called up to them. "Keep watch over the farm tonight." The cats purred in response and curled up tighter in their cozy nests of hay. Just then, Old MacDonald heard a bark and turned to see his faithful sheepdog, Buddy, trotting towards him. "Ah, there you are, old friend," he said, kneeling down to scratch behind Buddy's ears. "Ready for bed?" Buddy wagged his tail and gave a soft woof in response. Together, they walked back to the farmhouse, the dog's paws patting softly beside Old MacDonald's boots. As they reached the porch, Old MacDonald turned to take one last look at his peaceful farm. The moon was rising now, casting a silvery glow over the fields and buildings. He could hear the gentle symphony of nighttime sounds, the chirping of crickets, the soft rustling of leaves in the breeze, and the occasional hoot of an owl. "Good night, farm," he whispered. "Thank you for another wonderful day." With that, Old MacDonald and Buddy went inside the cozy farmhouse, ready for a good night's sleep before another busy day on the farm. But the story of Goodnight Farm doesn't end there. For as Old MacDonald slept, the farm came alive with a different kind of magic, the magic of dreams. In the big red barn, the cows dreamed of lush green meadows where they could graze all day long. In their dreams, they danced and pranced like calves, their bells creating a joyful melody as they moved. The chickens in their coop dreamed of soaring high in the sky like eagles, looking down at the farm from above. In their dreams, they had magnificent colorful feathers and could fly faster than the wind. In the sheep pen, the woolly creatures dreamed of a grand fashion show where they were the stars. They strutted down a runway, showing off their fluffy coats to an admiring crowd, feeling proud and beautiful. The pigs in their sty had dreams filled with mud, but this wasn't ordinary mud. It was a magical mud that could transform into anything they wanted. They dreamed of mud castles, mud roller coasters, and even mud spaceships that took them on adventures through the stars. By the duck pond, the sleeping ducks dreamed of discovering a hidden lagoon deep in a tropical jungle. In their dreams, they swam through crystal clear waters, diving deep to find treasure chests full of shiny pebbles and delicious treats. In the horse stable, each horse had a different dream. One dreamed of winning a grand race, galloping faster than the wind with a cheering crowd urging them on. Another dreamed of roaming free on a vast plain, running for miles without any fences to stop them. The old plow horse dreamed of being a majestic unicorn, using its magic horn to help creatures in need. Up in the hayloft, the farm cats dreamed of being mighty jungle cats. In their dreams, they prowled through dense forests, their coats gleaming like silk in the dappled sunlight. They pounced on imaginary prey and lounged on high branches, feeling like kings and queens of their domain. Even Buddy, the faithful sheepdog, had dreams of his own. He dreamed of herding not just sheep, but clouds in the sky. In his dream, he ran through the air, barking instructions to fluffy white clouds, arranging them into shapes to make Old MacDonald smile. As for Old MacDonald himself, he dreamed of his farm growing and thriving. In his dreams, he saw fields of golden wheat stretching as far as the eye could see, orchards heavy with ripe fruit, and happy animals everywhere. He dreamed of future generations learning to love the land as much as he did, carrying on the traditions of farm life. While all the farm creatures dreamed, the farmhouse itself seemed to come alive. The old wooden beams creaked and settled, as if the house was sighing contentedly. The rocking chair on the porch swayed gently in the night breeze, almost as if it was rocking itself to sleep. Outside, the moonlight cast long shadows across the farmyard. The weather vane on top of the barn turned slowly in the gentle night wind, as if it was keeping watch over the sleeping farm. The old tire swing, hanging from the big oak tree, swayed slightly, perhaps dreaming of the laughter and joy it would bring to children in the morning. In the vegetable garden, the plants seemed to stretch in their sleep, their leaves reaching up towards the starry sky. The scarecrow stood guard, its hat slightly askew, dreaming of the day it might come to life and dance among the corn stalks. The old tractor in the equipment shed dreamed of days gone by when it was shiny and new, plowing fields and helping with the harvest. In its dreams, its engine purred smoothly, and its red paint gleamed in the sun. Even the fence posts seemed to be dreaming, standing tall and proud in the moonlight, remembering all the seasons they had witnessed and all the animals they had kept safe. As the night wore on, a gentle mist began to roll in from the nearby hills. It crept across the fields like a soft blanket, wrapping the farm in its cool embrace. The mist brought with it the scents of wildflowers and pine trees from the surrounding countryside, adding to the peaceful atmosphere of the sleeping farm. High above, the stars twinkled brightly, as if they too were watching over the farm. The Big Dipper seemed to pour starlight down onto the fields, while the Milky Way stretched across the sky like a river of dreams. A shooting star streaked across the heavens, and if anyone had been awake to see it, they might have made a wish. But all the creatures on Goodnight Farm were fast asleep, lost in their own magical dreams. As the night deepened, the dreams of all the farm inhabitants began to intertwine. The cows found themselves flying alongside the chickens. The sheep discovered they could swim and joined the ducks in their tropical lagoon. The pigs built a mud castle so tall it reached the clouds, where Buddy was hard at work, herding them into shape. Old MacDonald's dream expanded to include all of these wonderful imaginings. In his sleep, he smiled at the sight of his beloved animals having such marvelous adventures. He dreamed of a farm where anything was possible, where the bonds between all living things were strong and filled with love. The night seemed to last forever, yet pass in the blink of an eye. Before long, the eastern sky began to lighten, hinting at the approach of dawn. The stars faded one by one, and the moon sank below the horizon, its job of watching over the farm complete for another night. As the first rays of sunlight peeked over the hills, the farm began to stir. The rooster, always the first to wake, opened one eye and then the other. He ruffled his feathers, stretched his wings, and prepared to greet the new day with a mighty crow. Old MacDonald's eyes fluttered open just moments before the rooster's call. He lay in bed for a moment, holding onto the last wisps of his wonderful dreams. Then, with a smile, he swung his feet to the floor, ready to start another day on his beloved farm. As he stepped onto the porch, with a steaming cup of coffee in hand, Old MacDonald looked out over his farm. Everything was just as he had left it the night before. Yet somehow, it all seemed fresher, more vibrant in the light of the new day. The animals began to wake up one by one. The cows stretched and mooed softly, ready for their morning milking. The chickens clucked and pecked at the ground, eager for their breakfast. The sheep baaed and shook the dew from their wool. The pigs snuffled and snorted as they rooted around their sty. The ducks quacked and splashed in their pond, greeting the morning sun. The horses nickered softly, looking forward to a day of work and play. Buddy the sheepdog bounded up to Old MacDonald, tail wagging, ready for whatever the new day might bring. The farm cats yawned and stretched in the hayloft, preparing for another day of mousing and napping in sunny spots. As Old MacDonald began his morning chores, he hummed a little tune to himself. He felt refreshed and invigorated, filled with love for his farm and all its inhabitants. Even though he couldn't remember all the details of his dreams, he carried with him a sense of wonder and possibility. He knew that tonight, when the sun set once again, he would make his rounds and wish each animal a good night. And then, once more, Goodnight Farm would come alive with dreams, continuing the endless cycle of day and night, work and rest, reality and imagination. For on Goodnight Farm, every day was an adventure, and every night was filled with magic. And Old MacDonald wouldn't have it any other way.